This is Jatin, and I am heading the BioNTech and BTC Wires, right? And it's really pleasure to have you on this call today. And since we have been, been following your work in blockchain, and it has been really, really great, the things which you have been doing. And of course, it's really pleasure for us to connect with you. So I'll just jump straight forward, not taking long time of yours. Straightforward, we'll jump to the first question, as we have, as at Cognition X 2008, you were quoted as saying it's interesting to think what happens when machines can own resources and decide what to do with them. So if you can just elaborate them and let us understand that how it can happen, and what is your thoughts on this?
So it's not a question on if, but when. So we see non-human agents who now exist, like bots and robots and many types of programs that are running, and they are able to. Now we went one step further and we allow them to transmit value. So this means that there is a possibility that DAOs evolve into something that's not have any human guardian anymore, but still owns resources and can generate value in an ecosystem and can extract value from other ecosystems. So having not a human guardian, but still being like an economical agent and maybe a legal agent in a system that's non-human, that's very interesting to have a look at. Mm-hmm. So this means that we're talking not about everybody's talking about self-driving cars, but the first thing that will happen is self-owned cars. You see this also with maybe other kind of logistical infrastructure. But what's even more interesting is to look at natural resources. Mm-hmm. Some stuff doesn't belong to humans. Okay. Because it belongs to the world, to humanity, to the commons, to the public domain, or even nothing related to humans. I mean, in New Zealand, there you have rivers that have legal status. Mm-hmm. True, very true. And now and then you have projects like Terra Zero and Plantoids from Primavera de Filippi who work around basically around something that's called biodance. These are natural resources that own themselves. And more recently in Malta, a law got approved that DAOs can have a legal status. Okay. This means that humans are starting to interact on other levels with non-humans. True. And it starts, we know information sharing, we know how to read out of sensors and all of these things, but gradually they become more autonomous. Mm-hmm. They have a decision system, but especially they have access to resources that a human cannot override. So they can choose how to spend their resources, they can hodl. They could hire humans to do something for them. Think about let's take the example of a self-owned forest. Mm-hmm. Self-owned forest basically wants to become sustainable, have enough trees inside of it so that it can keep on growing, or at least keep a capacity of trees. So a human can come in, it can take out trees, but has to pay the forest for them. What can the forest do with these funds? It could hire a set of drones. Maybe a set of woodchuckers or whatnot to keep the forest mapped out and all of these things. But think also about maybe monuments, things that belong to humanity but not to a single person.
Can you ask them to?
So you muted yourself, so I don't know.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Okay. So I mean, that's kind of the things that could happen. And basically, we're facing a world where machine-human interaction is about resource sharing. Mm-hmm. And not just about information exchange.
Impressive. Deep thoughts, huh? You've been, taking it through lot of different avenues and different aspects of thoughts. It's been very deep. So I'll just jump to the other one, right? Which could be, we are well aware of your extensive experience as a co-founder of Ascribe, application director of BigchainDB, BigchainDB, and researcher with, of course, Ocean Protocol, and of course, co-chair of Interledger community, but Sodality comes out as the most striking of all. Please elaborate in layman's term what exactly Sodality does it, or how it started.
Yes, Sodality is actually something that started. My first startup. You could say it's more in sleep mode, but it's actually a spin-off of my research I did at the university during my PhD, where we were always trying to find efficient mechanism to simulate very complex nonlinear dynamical systems. No, in this case, we were looking at microelectronics. Microelectronics, imagine an Intel processor which has a lot of transistors on them. They have more than 1 billion transistors. Mm-hmm. So all active components that have to interplay. And during the design phase, you want to predict how this, if it will work, what's the yield and the functionality requirements. You want to basically simulate those during the design phase. If you add more transistors or you change the floor plan and whatnot, then you just want to make that you don't make any fuck-ups. So what Sodality does was a bit like what JPEG does to high-resolution images, Sodality does to complex floor plans, complex dynamical systems. It compresses them without losing too much of the details or the functional behavior. Okay. So it's basically applied mathematics for complex dynamical systems. Now I see how this could play around, we could revive this if we look at token economies.
Okay.
As a complex nonlinear dynamical system with user behavior, stochastical behavior, and whatnot. Imagine we want to basically create a token incentive schema and then have all types of behavioral agents attached to it. How will the incentive schema turn out? Will this become a self-sustaining network? Will it die out? Will it become an anti-fragile network? Mm-hmm. How can we play around with the objectives in token ecosystem? So we need some simulators there. So maybe we kick this applied mathematics back into the game. So that's in a nutshell.
That's actually really great. So I'll move to the next one. Let's move to blockchain now. That we have your insight of, we have your insights in brief on machine learning and artificial intelligence. Bill Gates and other such tech giants have claimed that Bitcoin is a bubble, right? Why do you think it's not? It's not a bubble. I myself think that it's not a bubble, of course. But what's your call on this?
There's a bubble aspect to it. But at the core, it's not a bubble. At the core, it's basically one of the strongest supercomputers human ever created, and especially it's an incentive machine. The incentive machine means that it makes people do stuff. Mm-hmm. It makes people buy mining infrastructure and contribute to the security of the network. It creates an open market for mining infrastructure to add security to the network. That's the objective function of Bitcoin.
Of course.
And so it's a precedent. It's not a bubble because the utility below is multifold. It's super high secure against 51% attack. It validates logic in transactions. It avoids double spending. And it also builds out a community and a subculture, and of course the aspect of be your own bank or decentralized high velocity transactions is something to tune out and see how it works. But it's a precedent. It's a paradigm shift. It shows that people can collaborate on incentives.
Okay, true. So that's been what we have been constantly involved in. So I'll move to the next one, which is Ocean Protocol. Moving on to Ocean Protocol, which is recently partnered with Agora, right? An integrated marketplace for AI. How do you exactly plan to grow or to increase the adoption of Ocean Protocol apart from B2B partnerships?
So what we actually want to do with Ocean is So these B2B partnerships or network-to-network partnerships or protocol-to-protocol partnerships, because they're not really businesses, they're basically trying to create a full-fledged ecosystem. That's a big part of it, because if we want to create something like, let's say, a public intelligence network that can solve all problems of humanity, then we have to have a lot of moving parts in the system, and we have to bridge and collaborate with a lot of other networks. What we think should steer the adoption is, of course, a very well-designed incentive schema for people to have like early mover advantage, for people to stabilize the system, to adopt, to collaborate, to communicate what we're doing. But especially if you look at it from a functional point of view, what we're basically trying to create is something we call tribes. Tribes that gather themselves around a problem space. You could say, let's have a mobility tribe. Trying to solve the problem of autonomous driving. Or giving mobility the chance to do more than just transporting humans, but transport energy and solve congestion and all of that. So all these tribes are basically how we try to adopt, basically fine-tune this network towards special local needs for any type of vertical. This could be consortia, it could be a group of data scientists, could be a group of humanist impact projects, and they can set their own governance. We just give them the tools to set up how they serve up data, what kind of algorithms they can access, how they share knowledge, how they attribute knowledge, how they curate knowledge. That's it's a framework for data scientists to thrive.
Okay. That's an interesting one. So I need to just get in with a question, which is of course not on the list, but it's coming just from my mind right now. So I just wanted to ask you, a lot of blockchain development conversations or things I see and I hear about going around. They want to make a user-centric application using blockchain technology at the core. But moreover, what I think, on my perspective, currently blockchain for another about, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years, would be a back-end technology where it would be, just back-end, and maybe it will take time to get dissolved into back-end the way the technology at this point of time is, right?
Yeah.
So when you think that, according to you, as you are in the epicenter of a creation, and... Yeah. I just wanted to know that when you think that the main user-centric applications can be built on blockchain technology, and normal people, people like who every day use Spotify on their phones, they use Uber, they use food applications, they can start using blockchain-built applications on their phone, D-apps on their phones, maybe on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I fully agree there. Like, if you're looking at mass adoption, we're still a few years out. I think what we now should build is a developer-centric platform. The internet got big because it has a standard language, is TCP/IP.
True.
And we're still trying to figure out what's the standard language for inter-blockchain communication, smart contracts, and whatnot. So we don't have enough tools yet to empower the developers. Once the developers get empowered, then you'll see architects, functional analysts coming in and starting to go from these small systems or small contracts, creating compound systems through architectures, basically making that blockchain layer seamless.
Yeah, true.
And on top of that, of course, then you can start thinking about creating user-centric, non-geeky stuff, mainstream application.
Yeah. I agree to you. I'll move to the last one we have for this evening. Is it safe to anticipate BigchainDB and Ocean Protocol working in an integrated manner in near future?
Yeah, actually we're doing that at the moment. So within Ocean Protocol, what we have is we have a lot of assets to be published. We have data, algorithms, and and they're all annotated with metadata. For us, BigchainDB is an interesting tool to basically store and decentralize and distribute that metadata. So for us, at the core of our discovery, there you will find BigchainDB in the discovery function of Ocean.
Impressive. So you guys are doing a lot of things already in the blockchain development.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have a vision of which we want to realize. So we've really tried to focus on what's the minimum viable protocol, what's the critical path where we can show that we contribute value to the ecosystem, and also make sure that we're not like reinventing the wheel. So that's when we try to just leverage all the technologies we know and that are mature enough to implement or just to use. So
impressive,
yeah,
impressive.
Well, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, so we don't have to do everything ourselves.
I get your point. And that's always been beneficial, you know. What I feel on my personal end that for every research and development R&D, you need to have a lot of cash in house, you know, cash flow, because without cash flow you cannot have that research and then develop, you know. Brilliant minds needs brilliant environment to work. So it comes with, everything comes with a price, you know. It's really great. But being very close to you and talking in person, it's really a nice experience and new experience. And of course, the knowledge which is shared, I really appreciate that and really appreciate your time as well this evening. Of course, it's the evening for us, and maybe, of course, it's day for you, afternoon. Good pleasant afternoon in Berlin. I guess that's it, Dimitri, today. Really, it's pleasure speaking to you, and soon we will be going live with the article, with the interview on BTC Wires, and we'll share you the link. And of course, Jay has been following up.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much.
My regards to the community.
Thank you so much.